Gary Williams here. Some friends of mine are making a difference in the community, and one of the ways they're doing that is helping to sponsor this podcast. Petroselli Homes Realty Group is a boutique brokerage service located in downtown Niles. They offer a personal and intentional touch to the home buying and selling market. They take the time to learn each client's story, much like this podcast, because to them, the first step in linking buyers to the home of their dreams starts with understanding and a great deal of trust. John and Jennifer Petroselli have had the honor of helping countless buyers and sellers make effective real estate decisions to plant their roots, raise their families, expand their wealth, or simply relax and retire. So if what I've described is what you might be looking for in a realtor, I suggest getting in touch with Petroselli Homes on Niles Boulevard in downtown Niles. Now, coming to you straight from Fremont, California, this is the Fremont Podcast, dedicated to telling the stories of the past and present of the people and places of the city of Fremont, one conversation at a time. Now, here's your host, Ricky B.
Hello, Fremont. You're listening to episode number 23 of the Fremont Podcast. I'm excited to have Angelica G Allen join me today on the podcast. Angelica is an author of at least 5 books. She is an aspiring actress, and she is a resident of Fremont. She has grown up in Fremont all of her life. She went to Washington High School, and her latest book, which we are going to talk about today, it is called www.listoutallyourproblems.com. Her latest book is set here in Fremont at Washington High School. And so it is a privilege to have her join me today for the podcast. And there's a few things that you're going to want to know. First of all, Angelica just came out with this book, and she will be featured at Barnes & Noble down at Blossom Hill Road in San Jose. We are going to talk about that later in the episode, but that is something you'll want to take note of. She will be there. If you listen to this within a couple days of it being posted, she will be there on May 22nd on Sunday afternoon. And again, you can hear more about that in this episode. But then you can also find her book on her website, and we'll talk about that later. We also have show notes for you on that, but you can also go to the name of her book, www.listoutallyourproblems.com, and you can find her book there. One thing that I want to tell you is that if you are interested in being a part of a giveaway to receive a copy of this book, you can join that giveaway through our Instagram. It'll be posted on the Fremont Podcast Instagram, as well as Angelica G Allen's Instagram. So without any further ado, let's jump on in. Here is my conversation with author Angelica G Allen. All right. Well, I am so excited to have Angelica with me today. She is an author that lives right here in Fremont, has grown up. You've grown up, what, your whole life?
Yes.
In Fremont? Were you born here?
Mm-hmm. Born and raised in Fremont.
Wow.
Went to elementary here, two different elementaries.
Oh, yeah. So where'd you go? Where'd you go to school?
I went to Briar and then Parkmont because we moved, and I absolutely love those times. Those were probably my favorite times of my whole entire life, being at Briar especially.
Okay, that's awesome. Was there anything specific about going to school there that you remember as being really special?
Yes, and even if you go there now, one of my art projects is on the front of the office. One of those mosaics.
Uh-huh.
So being a part of the art program there, and I was also an honor roll student, so it was like, it was when I was my best, I guess you could say.
Well, I don't know. That might be debatable because right now I think you've done some pretty remarkable things already, and I'm excited to talk about that with you. But I think having a mosaic on a school wall might be pretty stellar as well.
Oh yes, it is cool.
So you went to school there, and then where'd you go to high school?
I went right across the street to Washington High School. But my junior high was Centerville. I was actually a cheerleader for Washington High School my first year.
Okay.
Freshman year. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So wait a minute. So you're an author of books. Mm-hmm. You were obviously at some point an artist that did a mosaic on an elementary school wall, which still is there. What other things do you like to do? What other hobbies or what other things do you like to dabble in?
Well, right now, actually, it started in college. I'm actually very into acting again.
Okay.
And right now, I attend the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco. So
wow.
The hope is after these trainings that I get an agent and just take off.
So you're in the middle of training for that. You said it started in college. Where'd you go to college, and what did you do in college?
Right. So I went to 2 colleges. I went to Chabot College first.
Okay.
And then I transferred to CSU East Bay. And at Chabot College, I took theater classes, and I was in plays, and I did pretty good. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you really enjoy that? You really enjoy acting?
Yes, I enjoy that for sure. And I honestly, like I was saying, I would probably never stop writing. And it would be my hope for my books to become film. Yeah. Especially the latest book. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, before we get into your books, because I think that's, one of the main reasons why I have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
So what are some of the things that have inspired you just as a person? And maybe it's something that we would read about in a book that you've already written, but what are some of the things that have inspired you here in Fremont? Like, what are the things that you look back on as being, like you already said, some of the best years of your life might have been when you were in elementary school at those elementary schools. What are some of the other things that you've enjoyed that you look back on and you just say, those were very special memories for me in Fremont?
Mm-hmm. For sure, friendships.
Okay.
And family times for sure. Like, what stands out to me are the friends that I made actually at Parkmont. A few of them are still actually my best friends.
Wow.
Yes, and like going to their houses, like walking to Centerville Junior High together. Like in my new book, I mention a lot of those places, like the same walk route or next to the same buses I would take to school. Like, it's funny that you mentioned that because for some reason, like Fremont really does inspire my writing for sure.
Wow, that's cool. Do you have any special places that you and your friends would hang out at around here?
Mainly, it's going to be so funny and it's going to be bad because I don't even eat there no more, but the McDonald's on Fremont Blvd.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the spot. It might even still be the spot for high schoolers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but we would go there during lunch. We would go there after school.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is close to the middle schools and the high school there. So, I mean, it's easy to walk down there. And I think at the right time of day, you can find middle schoolers and high schoolers walking right past there. They probably do hang out there. Yeah, I can totally see that.
Mm-hmm. But then also at TAC Stadium.
Okay.
At Washington High School, that's another place we would hang out with for sure. Yeah.
Do you feel like I think a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about Fremont as a city. Mm-hmm. In my first episode, which is kind of funny, it was kind of inspired by the article that came out, Fremont being the happiest city in America. And I think different people have their own opinions about that. But is there anything that you feel like you missed out on living in Fremont, or do you feel like your life was pretty well rounded for the most part?
I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say like, "Oh, there's not much to do here," but for me, I've never felt that way. Fremont, especially like even like Lake Elizabeth, like it's a very homey feeling, but you're still allowed to dream. And I think it being so like nature, especially back in when I was a kid.
Right.
Days,
yeah. Oh yeah. I imagine it's built up quite a bit
since
you.
Yeah. For sure.
Wow.
Like. So having that nature really makes you like daydream and like dream big. So for me, Fremont didn't hold me back. It makes me dream. It makes me believe in my dream. So
yeah, that's cool. It makes me think that what people need in their life for inspiration and for to have a full life, you don't have to have everything. You just have to have the right things.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that oftentimes that setting really. I think maybe it does depend on the person sometimes, but I do think that I think that you don't have to have everything. You just need to. Maybe it's just having the right attitude about what you do have, just learning to enjoy what you have and be thankful for it. That's cool. So I found you, or we found each other through through Instagram or through something online. But you are the author. Is it 5 books?
Yes,
the author of 5 books. That is cool. That is great. Are all the books are they centered in Fremont, or are they just kind of like allude to Fremont, or what are they about? Like, what is it that you like to write about?
For me, like my latest book is about Fremont, like centered in Fremont. But my other 4 books are like more outer worldly.
Okay.
So I basically like to write about space, I guess you could say, but bringing it home. Like I always bring it home. Like,
so when you say space, are you talking about like outer space?
Yes.
Oh, so this is kind of like sci-fi, or is it
in a way?
Okay.
But all of my books are in my own genres, millennial fiction or millennial
I'm so glad
poetry.
you brought that up, because I wanted to ask you about that. So when we talk about genres, like you have like fiction, nonfiction, fantasy, all that stuff, and you are you came up with your own genres.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So tell me about those and kind of give me a definition for them. Let me know what the genres are. I can't even say it.
Of course. So yes, millennial fiction, millennial poetry. Right off the bat from the definition, and you can hear it in the name, it's targeted towards my generation, millennial. So we're obsessed with the internet, like, honestly.
Oh, totally.
We really are. So I knew I had to write in a way that's very catching and concise and honest.
Yeah.
So that's why I created these genres, because it's fiction, but it's also like nonfiction on the poetry side.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. It's very relatable. Like I said, like in my first novel, I mentioned like the sky looks like Jupiter.
Yeah.
But the character, he's depressed. So I always bring it home.
That's great.
So I guess those are the short definitions. And to be honest, I also do add some symbolism of my faith in it. And then I also create languages for the characters.
Wow.
Yeah,
so
in
you're
code.
You're actually creating languages that are like unique languages.
Yeah, and you'll see in your copy as well.
Yeah, let's hold it up here, because I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got a camera going on here, so let's see what you got there.
Yeah. So in my fiction books, there will be a code, and the code will say letter A looks like this. So if you want to, you could translate it, or I just put the translations for you in the back of the book.
Wow.
So if people don't have time,
So, is languages something that you dabble in as well, or how do you even create a language? Like, I know that's one of the things that Tolkien is known for, because I think,
love him.
Yeah, right, I know. So he came up with all of Middle Earth and all these languages for all these different parts of Middle Earth. And before I think he even wrote the book, like I think he had all their histories and everything figured out.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But you're also doing that, or you're at least coming up with languages. Like, how do you even start with that? What does that even look like?
I know, and to be honest, it happened at Briar.
Oh, when you were a kid?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I created my first coded language. Like, letter A was a symbol, letter B was another symbol. So I just took that childhood, I don't know, and then I just made it into 2 new ones for my most recent books.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's just really cool. Something I did as a kid that I just was like, oh, might as well use it now as an adult.
So going back to the genre thing, I'm curious, do you know of anybody that, has this been something that's caught on to, are there other writers that are saying, hey, that connects with me, and like I want to write in that, or I am writing in that, I just didn't realize it until you identified this new genre. Like, is that something that you've seen other people do, or is that just something you're kind of waiting for people to catch on to?
Right?
Yeah.
Well, not yet. I haven't seen, but yesterday at the book fest, there were like the author sitting next to me, and then the author across from me. They kind of spoke like they kind of were doing that too as a kid in a way. So it made me think like, oh, I guess it's a common thing for some writers.
Yeah.
But I haven't met like anyone who wrote their own language or anything like that yet. No.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah. I'm super thrilled to meet you, and I'm super thrilled to know that this is that you're on this journey of creating these stories and genres and all that stuff. That's really cool. Thank you very much. Yeah. So your newest book, you just talked about it. So it's called www.listoutallyourproblems.com. Yes. Okay. Yes. And you said that this is actually kind of set here in Fremont. So tell me a little bit about it. What can I expect when I open up the book and read it?
Well, you're gonna love it. Okay. So expect the love. But it's basically about this girl. Her name is Southpaw Dina because she boxes as well in the Southpaw stance. So she finds this infomercial and it says like, oh, are you a loner at school? Oh, are you behind on your homework assignments? So she was like, okay, is this website real? And then, don't worry, there's no spoilers. And then, so she goes on this website and she orders things like a cute boyfriend. And then you go on to the rest of her day, and it's an unusual day. Huh. And it's definitely relatable, especially like I would say for teens. Okay. But it will definitely remind you of those times in high school because I do mention like friendships, crushes, you know, that everyone has. So, yeah. That's
awesome.
It's probably my favorite book that I've written.
That you've written? Yeah.
My first novel is very close to my heart, but I think this one's my favorite.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So maybe this is getting a little too philosophical, but as I hear you talking, I hear you, it seems like you're kind of wrestling with certain relational dilemmas or real life relational issues that people are going through and trying to give them a place where that maybe they can connect with the dialogues or the characters or whoever that you've created. Do you feel like as you are writing this book, I mean, I think you're probably drawing from your own experience and from your own understanding, but do you feel like it's helping you? What are you seeing? Like, what are you like? Is it just, are you interested in telling stories? Or are you actually interested in helping people work through their life, their problems in life?
Right. So to answer your question, I'm interested in storytelling, but to help people in any way that is, like whether I'm on camera showing the writers or the director's story, or whether I'm writing my own story, I definitely want to help people. Okay. When they read my book, you might get a little sad. I tend to write on the sad side. Yeah. But it's definitely, I want people to be helped by storytelling for sure.
That's great. I think one of my, and I know this this might sound a little weird, but one of my favorite Pixar movies is Inside Out. And yeah. And I think that I think it's really true. And for those of you who haven't seen it, you can go see it whenever, or pull
Disney
it up whenever
Plus.
you want to. Yeah. But I think one of the big lessons that they try to teach in that is that often the best and deepest memories is also marked by sadness as well. Like sadness has its own role. Even in our most special memories, and I think that it's nothing wrong with it being sad, having sad writing. I think that's helpful. I think we have to understand that. So I think, great. I'm going to get all off on a philosophical bent here, but I was going to say, I think so many times we lean into, we just want everything to be happy, and we want everything to be fun and easy. But I think it's important for us to remember that. Life's not always that way, and what do we do with the sadness? What do we do with the darkness at times? And being able to grapple with that in a way that actually puts us out on top, I think, is really important. So
exactly, yeah. You take that darkness and you turn it into hope. You turn it into art. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Awesome. So you've got 5 books. So you just mentioned the book. Was it the book fest you were at yesterday in Berkeley?
Yes.
And so you got to be there and let people see your books. You also, and I plan on having this episode posted by the time you go, but you're also going to have another book signing.
Yes, May 22nd.
May 22nd, and that's where exactly is that?
The Barnes & Noble on Blossom Hill, but it's not like the fest. It's just me.
It's just you. Just you.
Yeah.
So the 22nd, I think is that a Sunday? Okay. So Sunday, May 22nd, you'll be at Barnes & Noble at Blossom Hill down in San Jose.
Yeah.
And what times? What time can people find you there?
At 1 p.m. and I'll be there signing and selling my latest.
Okay. Your latest book.
Yeah.
Great. And I mean, can they get your other books as well, or they can get them? Can they get them there, or should they just go to your website?
Yeah, you can get them online, either on Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com. My other 4 books.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's great. So. I know you mentioned acting.
Yes.
And acting is on the horizon. Is there anything else on the horizon for you? Do you have another book that you're working on, or is that something you don't want to talk about, or what else might be on the horizon for you right now?
For right now, excuse me, sorry. But for right now, I always have a story in the back of my head, but I'm trying to get into more either music videos or short films. The plan, like I was saying, is to get an agent after this training. So that's more my main focus is like other people's stories for right now.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you this, but I hope it's not too personal or too forward. But the question would be, what inspires you? When you, it seems to me like you've got a lot of ideas, and in some sense, creating, this sci-fi fantasy sort of millennial poetry, fiction, and that sort of thing. It seems to me like you are very inspiring, and especially to people that read your books, and the friendships that you've made over the years. What inspires you? Like you said, you like Tolkien just a few minutes ago. What are the things?
C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis. Okay. So C.S. Lewis and Tolkien. Anything else? Is there anything that when you're having one of those days or one of those weeks, and you're just like, I need to get away? Is there a place you go? Is there a thing you do? What else? What inspires you?
Yeah. Okay. Do you want the honest truth?
Yes, yeah. Oh, no, I love honesty. Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, if I'm feeling down and really need to get away, I will pray.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Adventist, so I'm very religious.
That's great. Yeah.
But when you mention what place really sets me at peace, Coyote Hills. There's this one specific trail that you can go all the way up, and you see the Dumbarton Bridge and the bay, and it had in the springtime you see I think it's kelp, I'm not sure, but it's shiny, and it just takes my breath away. I wrote about it in my first novel, so that's sure cool. When you said the place, I immediately thought of Coyote Hills.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, Angelica, I am so happy that I was able to have you on the podcast, and you're very inspiring. I think.
Oh, thank you.
I
think
you too. I think just hearing about your story, your vision, the things that you're pursuing, I just think all those things are just really cool, and they're beautiful. And I'm glad that you're from Fremont. I'm glad that you love Fremont, and that you're willing to put them in your stories so that people can be inspired by them as well. So if you were to look at your life 10 years from now, and you were to say that you were to look back and you were to say, this is what I would view these last 10 years as being successful. What do you hope to accomplish? Is there anything that you would like to bring to the community that would really make a difference?
Oh, yes, for sure. That's kind of a loaded question. I have 12 billion answers to that question. But to keep it short, wherever I go, I definitely want to rep Fremont. And it's my dream to win awards like Pulitzer Prize in Fiction, Academy Awards.
That's great.
So fingers crossed.
The sky's the limit.
Yeah. And even not just the fact of you having me here and me pursuing it brings me joy. Yeah. And I definitely want to inspire other people who come from Fremont, because it's not the big city, it's not very popular.
Right.
But I don't want people to be ashamed of it because it made me dream big, and I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Angelica, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It is a joy to have you.
Thank you.
And what is your website? Where can people find you?
You can either find me like on all the social media channels, Angelica G Allen, so at Angelica G Allen, or my website, AngelicaGabriellaAllen.com. Or I actually own the domain of www.listoutalmyproblems.com.
That's awesome.
So if you go to that website, you can buy that book.
Do you solve people's problems at this website, or does it just take you to your website?
It just takes them to buy the book. Sorry.
No, that's good. That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think that if you're listening to this, you want to support a local artist, which I think is really important. I think everyone should do that. If you want to hear or read a book that is set in Fremont or inspired by Fremont, I think that you should get this book. We're actually going to offer a giveaway. Mm-hmm. So Angelica's latest book, www.listoutalyourproblems.com, is going to be available as a giveaway, and you can find those details as to how you can enter that giveaway through Instagram. You'll find it on my Instagram, and we'll have Angelica posted as well. Enter in so you can get this book, and if you don't get it, you need to buy it because it's a good book, and I can't wait to read it.
And it'll be a signed copy you receive.
Okay, excellent. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's really great. Well, Angelica, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to seeing you on the stage or on screen someday.
Thank you.
And I'll be a big fan of yours. So I hope you all the success.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Fremont Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever it is that you listen so you don't miss an episode. And if you're so inclined, leave a kind review so that others can find the podcast. To stay connected with us, you can find links to our social media and other content at thefremontpodcast.com. This episode was hosted, edited, and produced by Ricky B. Music provided through Soundstripe.com. I'm Gary Williams. Join us next week on the Fremont Podcast.
Muggins Media.